A controversial petition to the White House. Jack Cafferty's here with the Cafferty File. Jack.
Well, Texas Governor Rick Perry does not support a petition for the Lone Star State to secede from the Union, but a lot of people do. An online petition asking the federal government to allow Texas to withdraw from the United States following President Obama's re-election has more than 100,000 signatures. It appears on a section of the White House website called We the People and cites economic difficulties due to the federal government's inability to cut spending. Supporters suggest that secession would protect Texans' standard of living and re-secure their rights and liberties. The leader of the Texas secession movement tells Politico that Mr. Obama's re-election was what he called a catalyzing moment for his group's efforts to leave the United States. He insists, quote, "This is not a reaction to a person, but to policy," unquote. And what they see is a federal government that's disconnected from its constituents. Really? So far, no response from the White House, even though the number of signatures far surpasses the 25,000 needed for a White House response. For his part, Governor Perry says he believes in the greatness of our union and nothing should be done to change it, although he says he shares the frustrations a lot of Americans have with the federal government. Texas is America's second biggest state in both area and population. It was its own nation for 10 years before joining the Union in 1845. And Texas isn't alone here either. A number of other states have also gathered more than 25,000 signatures on secession petitions, including Louisiana, North Carolina, and Florida. Here's the question. Should Texas be allowed to secede from the Union? Go to CNN.com/Cafferty File, post a comment on my blog, or go to our post on the Situation Room's Facebook page. Wolf?
Jack, thank you. I hope they don't. I like Texas. I like them part of the United States of America. That would be bad if they seceded from the Union.
Yeah, why? It's not going to happen, but it's an interesting idea.
I know. Thank you, Jack. Jack's back with the Cafferty File. Jack.
The burning question of the hour is, should Texas be allowed to secede from the Union? They've got 100,000 signatures on a petition down there, petitioning the Obama administration to drop out of these United States. R in Wisconsin writes, Texaco is a good idea. A right-wing autonomous country buffering the United States and Mexico would offer an appealing immigration alternative, a narcotics distribution center, and a population of the very rich and their very poor gardeners. Julie in Chicago says Texans can be responsible for their own interstate highways, border patrol, disaster relief, education, Social Security, Medicare, defense, etc. Sounds to me like a good way to cut spending. Michelle on Facebook, I live in Texas. These people who want to secede are nuts. I would definitely move. David in Texas, yes, as a resident of Texas, I would welcome this. We don't need the feds down here. Jane in New Hampshire writes, round up all the people who want to secede, put them in one of the red states that takes in more federal money than it contributes, and let them secede. The only problem will be building a fence high enough to keep them out when they figure out that Medicare really is a government program. Shirley in Ontario, if Texas secedes, could you please relocate Austin to Canada? Doug in Massachusetts says, I think it'd be great if Texas could become an independent country. They could all dress like Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. They could protect their own border. They could all have their own oil wells. They could have the Houston Space Center, too. Maybe launch their own trip to Mars. Go for it, Texas. If you want to read more about this, go to blog, CNN.com/Cafferty File, or through our post on the Situation Room's Facebook page. Wolf?
Thank you, Jack. I hope Texas does not secede from the Union.
Me too.
It's been more weeks since Superstorm Sandy, and get this, parts of America's largest city are still crippled.